if there's one thing that stood out in the Chicago Bulls' first preseason game, it's the unselfish nature in which the Bulls play with Josh Giddey's impact already showing, as well as Trey Jones, and the Bulls having almost 75% assist percentage. That's a big impact by the Bulls in a big way that impacts their style of play. On today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about that. Plus, we're going to dive into the mailbag, and we've got your voicemails coming in later in the show. We got wild takes, some caller beef. We got a lot of stuff that's going on today's episode, all while talking about the big test coming up against the Orlando Magic and the defensive matchups that the Bulls are going to have to own in that matchup with Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. We're going to talk about all that and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, hosted by yours truly, Haize. I'm glad to have you guys in the building. It's game day. Y'all know what that means around here at Chicago Bulls Central. It's always an exciting time, and we got a lot of things to talk about. But on yesterday's episode, I focused on one of my glaring concerns coming out the Bulls' first preseason game, and that was the turnovers and the points that they gave up off turnovers and how some of the teams that we are facing coming up would be able to take advantage of that if the Bulls don't tighten that 17 turnover down. They gave up 17 turnovers, over 20 points off turnovers. The Bulls definitely need to tighten that up, right? But I want to talk about one of the things that coming out of the first game that really is kind of indicative of the offensive style that we're going to play this year, and that's the Bulls' unselfishness. The Chicago Bulls had 39 field goals, right? And a 74.4 assist percentage, which ranked the second highest over the opening week of basketball. Right now, I want to be clear in that one. The unselfish nature in the Bulls moving the ball around is kind of it's just representative of how they want to play basketball, right? You have two guards out there in Trey Jones and Josh Giddey who are both really good assist men. Trey Jones is a really good passer while limiting turnovers. Josh Giddey is the more creative passer, but with that comes more turnovers at time. And we talked about how Josh Giddey got to get those turnovers underway, right? But that's not the focus on that. The unselfish nature in which this Bulls team plays with is the thing that could potentially make this team special because you just don't have selfish players. You don't have players that are me, me, me. That's not what the Bulls have on this team. They have everybody on this team is willing to sacrifice, right? And the easiest way to quantify that is by looking at the assist number and how they spread the ball. And of course, you're going to have your players that score a little bit higher because of efficiency or just higher priority, but everybody is unselfish in this team, and that's a good thing, right? 39. The Bulls made 39 buckets on 29 assists. That means only 10 of their buckets were not assisted. That's important, right? When you look at that. And so the assist percentage that the Bulls have, it not only is something that benefits the transition play that they want to, even though they didn't score as many transition points as you would think, single-digit transition points in that first game, but this team having that unselfish nature, right, with it being a bunch of really good passers on the team. Giddey, we already know, passer, right? Trey Jones is long season in the starting lineup. He's a really good passer, and he could do that. Isaac Okoro, I don't know if I'd call him a good passer, but because he doesn't take a lot of shots as well, it plays into that. Like, Okoro doesn't necessarily need any shots, right, except wide open ones, which you got to hit better, my boy. So that's the thing that plays into that. Modest is a really solid passer. Vooch is a really good passer as a big man. So that opens up the floor. Even when you look at coming off the bench, Io and Kevin Huerter right now, your primary players coming off the bench, they're also unselfish players, right? And I've talked yesterday about how Modest Buzelis and the assist percentage, I want to see him create more for himself. But one of the benefits of having so many passers on the team is that while you have players learning how to create for themselves, they're still going to be able to be, huge parts of the offense because you have those type of passers that's on there, right? So while this team is doing something that I have been calling for almost the whole time that Billy Donovan is here, go back and look at it. I've looked at the tape. I've got the off-ball movement by the Chicago Bulls is a lot more consistent and a lot more intentional, meaning that you have players that seem like they're moving off the ball with the mindset of, hey, if I move over into this space, the defense is going to go here. my boy can cut at that point in time, right? Or something like that. Or I'm going to go here to take an angle, and then if I get caught on the pass on my next move, I have the angle that I need to get to and put the defender on my back, right? Those are things that become infectious on a team. When you move without the ball and you have solid passers, everybody is more engaged. Everybody's more locked in on actually both sides of the ball because everybody's touching it. And I think that's the thing that can make this team special. Yes, we don't have the individual isolation scores. We have a couple of those guys, right? Like Coby is a guy that can score, not necessarily in the same isolation type as like a Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, but he does need the ball in his hands, right? Modest, I think, is going to develop into one of those guys. But then again, because he does have an ability to have that point forward type game, it's going to be good for this team. You know, we talk a lot about the pace, and the pace is one thing, and the pace is fine. It adds to the funness and the quickness of the offense. But even more than pace, you need players that can make passes. You need unselfish players. I think also having unselfishness, it goes into your culture, and it goes into players really loving to play when people are enjoying it, having fun, right? And that's something that it can be easy to overlook because these players are getting paid so much. But going out there and having the ability to have fun while doing this is something that actually is contagious around your whole team. That's when you see, and I think that's part of what we saw last season after Trey and Kevin Huerter and Zach Collins. As those guys came into this team, you started seeing some of that as well with these players. And so that's a good thing. I think overall, this team being unselfish. And while you're going to have your players that any given night because they're hot are going to get more shots than the other, but can you tell me you couldn't see a shot in a game in which maybe Modest Buzelis has 12 shots and Dosunmu has 17? Or a game in which maybe Coby White has 18 shots and Modest Buzelis has 12, or vice versa, right? You have those things and those opportunities that are going to be here. And Josh Giddey and Trey Jones are hugely important to that. I'm not putting it all on them because you got to have a team that buys into that. But having those two guys, I don't think people really understand how much of a luxury it is for the style that we play and the type of team we have specifically with not a bunch of individual scorers, having two guards in Trey Jones and Josh Giddey that can both create at the level that they create. It's a huge thing, and it's a huge factor for this team, and hopefully we see that continue and that be part of the identity of this team. But let me know what you guys think on that down below. With that said, let's go into tonight's game. The Bulls have a matchup against the Orlando Magic going down at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And when you look at the Magic, this is going to be a further test of the Bulls' defense. Not just because the Magic have not been historically the best offensive team, in the league. Offense has been the thing that's held them back. But when you look at the individual matchups, right, the Magic have averaged 116 points per game over their first two games. 2-game sample size, not a lot. Paolo Banchero is coming off a 4-15 night last night, and that's going to open up. Keep in mind, they're the second of a back-to-back, right, which the Bulls need to catch as well, even though the Bulls are going out on the road. But, that is 4-15 shooting a night against Atlanta. That is not what Paolo Banchero is used to, but it does show how when you have defenders in his face, how you can throw off Paolo Banchero. Now, Franz is coming off 2 really good games to open the season, scoring over 20 points in each game. And I think that brings me to the first question for this game. Is Modest going to be matched up with Paolo, or is he going to match up with Franz? And then when is that going to switch, right? And I'm talking about early in the game. With Franz being the guy right now that's been more consistent, and Franz is coming off the cold game, does he put Okoro on Franz and Modest on Paolo? I think that's perfectly fine if you do that, right? And then you could switch that if Paolo gets hot and you need to put Okoro on him. But either way, Modest is not going to be able to duck a huge defensive assignment because if Paolo gets going, we know the scorer that he can be. If Franz can get going, we know the scorer that he can be, right? So either way, watching which player that Modest is lined up on and how that changes as the game goes on is going to show a big part in Billy Donovan's confidence in Modest defensively and also Modest's growth defensively, because those are both two guys, if you get physical with them, you open up the game some. You get in their heads a little bit, right? And Modest, I'm not saying Modest is going to be out there clamping them up or anything, but the length that he has and the strength that he added, it's about making them uncomfortable on every shot. And that's something that Modest can do on every single shot in the NBA because he has that over 9-foot standing reach, right? He has that. You have the ability to make every shot uncomfortable, especially with your strength. If you just learn to stand straight up on jump shots, don't foul, right? I don't want Modest to get in foul trouble. But that is something that's so unique. And then the shot blocking ability, because people are going to know Modest is slowly growing this reputation as this exciting shot blocker. So you're going to have players that are already, where's Modest at on the court, right? So Modest has that. That's why I like the growth that I want to see from Modest are things that really come down to effort, right? Like I said, if he develops into a shutdown defender, great. He has the body makeup for it, but he can be a disruptive defender just because of his length, his strength. He can get in the pass lanes with his length as well once he starts knowing how to anticipate those pass lanes. And that's where Modest's strength can be the best at, right? And then I also think one thing that we have to talk about in the matchup here as well is Josh Giddey. Jalen Suggs, Josh Giddey. Can Josh Giddey put enough offensive pressure on the Orlando Magic's defense to where, they have to focus in on him? Because if you end up roaming Jalen Suggs around, that could be a little difficult, right? And also, I think the defensive matchup for Josh Giddey too, because while Jalen Suggs is not known as a scorer, he is somebody who can absolutely, you let him get into a rhythm shooting-wise, and Jalen Suggs can get you cooked up. Like, he can get you cooked up. He has that ability to. He's averaging right now 18 points per game. 12 points per game in the season. He's only playing 18 and a half minutes per game. Take that for what you will. So you got to look at that one. But Tristan Da Silva is a player that's looking like he's ready to make a step up too. Desmond Bane's averaging 19 points for them. Da Silva's averaging 15 and a half. So you got another wing there that's going to be playing for that team. Also, he's coming off the bench, right? I would love to be able to bring Noah Essengay in there, something to defend him, but we know we're not there yet. So those are the things that we're looking at as well, and we'll see what happens when it comes down to that. But this is going to be a fun game. This is going to be an exciting game. We just got to see what the Bulls are going to do with it. With that said, let's go ahead and get into these mailbags, man. This first voicemail that we got today, this one is from Vikram.
What's up, Haize? It's Vikram. I just want to talk about the 2026 restricted free agents. There's a lot that didn't get signed today, so there's Haize, Mark Williams, Jalen Duren, Benedict Mathurin, Walker Kessler, and Jaden Ivey, just to name a few of the bunch of restricted free agents, all of whom are really good players, right? Like, all the people that I listed are great players, and I think one of them we should be able to get, and all of them I'd be really excited to get. The only one that I maybe wouldn't go after would be Jaden Ivey, just because I would rather have Coby White for the future. But say we don't get Coby White back on a deal, which I don't think would happen. In that case, we would go for Jaden Ivey. But let's go through all these, like Mark Williams, Jalen Duren, Walker Kessler. 3 great defensive-minded centers. Jalen Duren being a little switchable. Mark Williams and Walker Kessler being good rim protectors. That would solve a lot of issues for the Bulls defense. Maybe they could develop really good here. And also Haize. I think Haize is the most intriguing one, just because say Noah Essengay does pan out and he plays like a 4 position, but he's tall enough to be a 5. I feel like that's like a really interesting offense that we would have if we went positionless with the front court, where Modest runs the 3, Haize in the 4, Noah Essengay the 5, but it's very switchable, very versatile. And our team, the backcourt is pretty tall in itself, so I feel like that would be an interesting mold of the team. I think that Haize is an intriguing prospect. Obviously, the 3 centers are a great combination that we can choose from. And then Benedict Mathurin, I do think he's going to pop this year, get to 20 points a game plus. I don't know if the Pacers would want to let him go. Maybe they do, but I just don't really see a world where they would want to let go of someone who's a good 20-point per game scorer. But yeah, other than that, there's a lot of players. We don't need that superstar player with this money that we have. One of these guys could be that player that we sign and make a real improvement. Yeah, just let me know what you think.
I love all the guys that you mentioned, except not that I don't love Haize. I like Haize as a player. I just think that Haize you're trying to develop in the same way Noah Essengay, and you basically alluded to that. I know that you're looking more at it hey, you can get somebody in there who can do some of that now, and if Noah doesn't work out, but then I think about this all right, but why put somebody else in the path of Noah Essengay? That's just, and keep in mind, that's not this season. So the hope is that Noah Essengate is getting into games by the end of the season and then is ready next season to actually compete for starter minutes, right? So by then, I hope that, we're looking at it and we're focused on developing Noah at that point. So rather than bring somebody in that plays similarly to somebody that you want to develop already on this team, I'd more so focus on getting something that we don't have, and that's a center. And all those centers that you mentioned, I would love, right? Of course, Jalen Duren, Walker Kessler are my favorites. I've talked a lot about them. Mark Williams, I do like, right? But I don't know if you can trust Mark Williams to be your center of the future. I think if you sign Mark Williams, you're getting your center for now. You're getting somebody that can play, that can fit into the style of playing, the style of center that you need. But to me, if you sign Mark Williams, it needs to be at most a 3-year deal, and you need to be drafting your center of the future over that next 3 years. That's my personal opinion. I know not everybody's going to agree with that. There are going to be some people as well that don't think we should sign Mark Williams at all, right? And everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I'm worried about the injury history there. And signing players with a pretty extensive injury history, I don't think it's ever worked out that it's turned around when they're in the Bulls uniform. So I'm a little worried there. But Jalen Duren, Walker Kessler, even Jaden Ivey, as you said, if we end up losing Coby, I wouldn't mind pivoting to Jaden Ivey at all either. So, I like that. Now, Ben Mathurin, I just don't think Ben Mathurin's going anywhere. Now, the Pacers are like the Bulls. They don't like to pay the luxury tax. So depending on Nembhard and Nesmith and all these guys and Ben Mathurin, and then they still need to find a new center with Miles Turner being gone. And I think they'll want to do that, once Halliburton comes back. That maybe there's a chance that Ben Mathurin demands a contract they're not willing to meet, but I think it's pretty safe to say he's going to be back with Indiana, especially with the way he played in that opening game. So, that's my thought, but you guys can let me know how you feel on that down below. All right, let's get into the next one, man. This one is from my brother, Corn.
What's the word, King Drip? It's your brother, Corn, man. Hey, man, let's get right into it now. We talked about the bad shit. All right, we talked about Jacoby, Mr. White, and his shit, and how I feel about it. So now we're going to talk about my favorite Bull. A Bull that I love very much. A Bull that I said in the beginning of the season that I got him winning 6th Man of the Year. Number 12, Ayo Dosunmu. Come on, young kid. Come on, young lion. Let's have a wonderful conversation. Because I knew this would be your breakout year. I know this is going to be your breakout year. It's your time to prove to everybody that you is the new version of the everyman, of the Alice Caruso's of the world, that I could do whatever. It's just straight up that way, man. What you've been doing this preseason is wonderful. I'm at all. I know it's just preseason. But this is your time. Your time. Your time with Midas. Now that Coby is going to be gone for the next 2 weeks, I am looking for you, number 12, Ayo Dosunmu, to close the show. I trust you, Ayo Dosunmu, number 12, my 6th Man of the Year, to close the show. I trust you more than any other Bull. I'm going to say that again, Ayo Dosunmu. I trust you over any other Bulls player to close the show. Ayo Dosunmu. I need you to be my Mario Rivera. I need you to be my closer. I believe in you, Kings. I can't wait to see you this year. I know every time you have the ball in your hands, there's going to be a big smile on my motherfucking face, because I know something special is going to happen when you have the ball in your hands, my King. I appreciate you. I have so much love for you. Shout out to you. And I'm going to say it. Hey, congratulations, because this is going to be the year of Ayo Dosunmu. Peace. and blessings.
All right, Corn, you got some heat coming for you after this voicemail because there's some couple of callers that got some beef with you. But I'm gonna say this, and you're my brother. That was a long ass intro, bro. I timed it. You spent almost 50 seconds, almost a minute, just talking about saying what you wanted to leave a voicemail about, rather than actually just leaving the voicemail. I gotta mess with you on that one, my boy. Like you be ranting a little bit lately. No, I'm just playing. Like you got 3 minutes, use it. I just had to mess with you. But this ain't no Temptation song, bro. Like the intro was long, my boy. But I do think Io can have a 6-man of the year type impact for this team. Winning 6-man of the year, it does take winning. Like I think the Bulls have to win at minimum 42 to 44 games, and that would mean that Io would have to be head and shoulders above every other 6-man candidate for the win total to still kind of be that low, right? I think when you look at things historically. So I think more like the awards are the awards. It is what it is. We'll worry about that as we get more towards the end of the season. But talking about now where we are at the beginning of the season, Io definitely can have that type of impact for this team. And the runway is clear for him. The runway is clear for Io Dosunmu to be that. And keep in mind, the name is Io Dosunmu, not Dosunmu. There's a U at the end of his name. U, not O. I got to keep messing with you. But I agree with that, and we'll see what Io has in store for us this season, Corn. Let's get into the next one, man. This one is from Jeremy.
Hey, what's up, Haize? It's your boy Jeremy down here in Oklahoma. It's been a minute, but, the season's here. I had to call because some of these callers, you're wasting my 5 minutes of life. Like Corn rambling about Coby. You stated no facts about anything. I was waiting for you to get through your high nonsense. And brother, I'm sitting here smoking some fire right now, and you have nothing. You don't provide anything, but just you don't like Coby. So good for you. I'm sorry that we're all wanting him to prove you wrong, brother. But damn. If you can't formulate a thought, back something up with some kind of stat, for God's sake, don't waste our time, man. And I'm sorry to be like that, but yeah, the season's here. Let's go. See red. Bring something to the game. I'm out.
Shots fired. Jeremy said, I don't even have time but to talk about Corn's voicemail. First of all, I am embracing all of this. Here's what I'll say. And calling it beef is not real. Like, I want to be clear there. But I don't want each voicemail to live in a vacuum. And in a voicemail, like the point of the mailbag, the whole point of the mailbag is to get interaction with the community. And so I will say this. If you hear a take on the voicemail that you don't necessarily agree with, leave a voicemail. You don't have to come at the other person's voicemail, but you can say, hey, listen, I heard such and such say this, and I kind of have a different perspective on it. Here's why, right? That's what I would love to have. Not to put voicemail callers against voicemail callers, but to make the conversation more of a living conversation. I would love to have that. So, and here's the thing, right? I will say that there are narratives around Coby White, and that's not just Corn. There are narratives around Coby White, and I think that Kobe's going to do a good job at fixing some of those this season. But, all right, let's get into the last voicemail for today, man. This one is from JC.
Hey, what up? This is Jay from the 219. Hey, man, just want to leave a couple thoughts, man. Good first game. I like what I saw. Hope we can keep this shit up. But what kind of got me on fire is, man, I'm on a couple different platforms that, Bulls fans talk on. What we're not about to do is, man, we're not about to use this one game as a stepping stool to turn around and slander Coby White because he's not there because of injury. I heard a caller call in today. Kind of like started out talking about Coby White injury and then blah, blah, blah. But we're not going to do is, man, we're not going to slander Coby White, man, because he's hurt right now. We're not finna say we don't need him because we won one game. We're not finna start that, man. Every time we get somebody in Chicago, first thing a lot of fans do is, man, they lose belief in them. And it takes the smallest thing to make them lose belief in a player. When are we going to stop doing this shit? We drafted Coby White, man. Let that man grow into who he's going to be. He's not a 6-man. Let him grow into who he's going to be. I'm at the United Center, man, at these games, man, and the crowd go crazy when Coby White is out there doing his thing, man. Like, let the kid grow, man. We can't keep slandering our players. Let these players grow. And I'm talking at you, Haize. I'm just saying, fans. Fans got to stop that shit, man. That's all I got to say, though. Go Bulls, man. Let's see what we do in game 2. Peace.
Speak. Listen, there's so many narratives around, and the Bulls fans do this a lot, and I'm sure other fan bases do it too, right? Where something starts going well and they use that to knock somebody. Like, can we operate from a place of having talent first before we start worrying about, oh, now we can ship such a, it was one game in an 82 game season. There's a lot of ebbs and flows. Don't act like we ain't never seen a team start hot and fall off. Just like we've seen teams start cold and pick up as the season goes on. Hell, we've been that team at times, right? So I people think that because the Bulls won without Coby, it all of a sudden means that Coby is expendable. I need y'all to up your basketball IQ, right? Because yeah, any team on any given night, depending on the matchups, can win a game, but you need a go-to scorer, and you need that. And Coby's trying to prove that he can be that this season consistently for the entirety of the year. It'd be different if Coby was like somebody who was often injured, that missed like 20, 30 games each season. That's not really been Coby White. Coby White, his role has changed every single year, basically. He's been in there. And while I've said that his role hasn't changed, his role's changed this year. He didn't come into this season as the expected go-to scoring option, right? He came in still last year to third in the pecking order. He finished as the go-to scoring option, so he's picking up where he left off for the first time, but this is still a different role that he's stepping into this season, being once he gets on the basketball court. So, Coby's going to show improve. I believe that, and like you said, he's somebody that was drafted here, he's developed here, and I really like Coby White as a person and as with this game, and we're going to see how he develops that this season. But that's my time for today, guys. You know I love you guys, man. I appreciate you guys always for tuning in with us, man, for another episode of Chicago Bulls Central. The biggest takeaway that I have from today is that the team is looking like they're starting to find an identity, right? Not through isolation players, not through hero ball and what's been things before, but in trusting your teammates and playing as a team, right? So we'll see and get to see as the season goes on, man. We appreciate you guys. You guys know you can follow me at CEO Haize. If you're listening on YouTube, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you're on the YouTube side, go and subscribe to the podcast. If you're on the podcast side, go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You help it grow. We have a goal of getting to 30,000 subscribers by the end of the year. But that's my time. You guys can follow us at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you ready for can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.